They're all sitting there wondering we could lose the Senate. Well, step up and do something. You have a massive lack of enthusiasm among the base because they're sitting there going, I'm just not feeling it right now. And you have some of our best pollsters, Barris and Mitchell, are consistent. Texas 9. Now you're starting to see people say, hey, I got to take this in my own hands. We're going to do it. We're going to get motivated. This is one of the reasons we've shifted down to Texas. The all important, one of the biggest primaries in the history of the country for the United States Senate. Also, guess what? On 3 March, Sharia laws on the ballot.
Yep, Sharia law. It's gonna be coming. I've been hearing for decades. Any day now, it's gonna be coming. So that's Steve Bannon. So look, pros and cons. Pro, I like that he's scared. He should be scared. That's good. Con, I prefer his set where he had a quote from himself in the background. That was a real flex. Now he's just got the screen, unfortunately. But anyway, so look, we're gonna disagree with basically everything he says, except that it's good to acknowledge that he's worried. He's worried, as a lot of Republicans are, not just about the House, which they're very worried about, but about the Senate as well. And he points to the Texas primary. A lot of people are worried that if Ken Paxton is the Republican nominee, that puts that Senate seat more into play, which, look, if Tallarico Crockett wins that would be amazing and make it so much easier for the Democrats to take the Senate. So look, I guess credit to him, I suppose, for acknowledging that they're in a bad way. But JR, I'm gonna take back a lot of the credit because why, Steve, do people not feel enthusiastic? It's not an act of God. Donald Trump is doing all the stuff he said he was gonna do, right? He's gonna do big tariffs, he's gonna tax everybody, he's gonna invade cities with ICE, he's doing all that stuff. It's not an accident that people don't like it. They don't like it because it sucks, but it's the stuff you wanted him to do. He wasn't asking for him to do bipartisan stuff with the Democrats. He wasn't asking for him to, like forget all that tariff stuff and forget the tax cuts for the rich. Let's actually deliver for the American people. Let's look into single payer. Steve Bannon wasn't saying any of that stuff. No. And so I feel like they do this all the time. They ask for Trump to get in, they get the tax cuts that they want, but then they have to seem to be smarter and more independent. So they're the ones who can now criticize him, even though he's doing what they wanted. And by the way, they're not even really criticizing specifics. It's all vague. They're smarter, they're more moral, they're superior in some way. But again, this is, I think, the inevitable outcome of an incredibly unpopular, in reality, political platform. But JR, do you disagree? What do you think?
Well, the thing is, then they're seeing it. It's weird because he said, well, step up and do something. Bro, you were in front of an audience. Steve Bannon was in front of an audience and his pitch was that if we lose these midterms, I'm going to jail. Bro, that's a pitch for people to vote for that to happen. I'm not sure what you think somebody's gonna step up and make happen. Also, we've seen these policies. We saw him run on these policies, Donald Trump running on these policies. And as they implemented these horrific policies that people were blatantly and openly against as he ran on them, take shape and look at exactly like what they described them to be. Either these people like Steve Bannon are so clueless that they thought sweeping up a bunch of people and murdering folks in the streets and having Trump armies running through our cities was gonna be something that people supported, or they knew it was gonna suck the way Donald Trump knew it would, and he's gonna start ignoring all these people who said, I voted for you, I thought you were gonna be a populist. He's ignoring them because he has no sense and really no care for democracy. He's a fascist, he's a dictator. What he wants is more violence, more anger. So he's looking to manipulate elections. Who cares about those? That was his plan from the beginning. I just don't know if people like Steve Bannon thought that that was gonna be the plan for them to win more elections based off of bad policies. I mean, he knew that Steve Bannon knew that Donald Trump lost in 2020. So why is it that he's just now figuring out that people aren't gonna like this either? Like, it's confusing. I'm trying to figure out where the fakeness starts and then where all the bluster ends.
Yeah, let's also bear in mind the other stuff that Steve Bannon's been saying recently. When he says stand up and do something, I don't think he means like change your policies. I think he means rig the midterms. I think that's what Steve Bannon is saying. Also, I have one follow-up question for Steve Bannon. Why were you like best friends with Epstein many years after he was convicted of sex trafficking? Why were you buddy with him? Why were you swapping jokes with a notorious pedophile? Why were you doing that? And why aren't you addressing that on your show? It ain't because you don't have time. You have 4 hours a day. I feel like you could talk about why you were so desperate to be friends with this pedophile. Weird that you're not talking about that. But anyway, to get to the substance, we'll end on this. One of the things that is dragging Trump down is the economy. Take a look at this.
You said you inherited a mess from President Biden when it comes to the economy. But at what point is it on you? At what point are we in the Trump economy?
Oh, I'd say we're there now. I'm very proud of it.
Okay, well, he's proud of it. Okay, hey, he's taking responsibility. It's actually happening. He's taking responsibility. Now, he doesn't seem familiar with the economy. He doesn't seem to know what's happening out there. So I'll catch him up. Yeah, no, it's inflation, particularly on groceries. Stuff is getting more expensive. Ground beef up 15%. Now, if you want to do like steak and eggs, the eggs are down. We'll acknowledge that. Eggs are 30% cheaper, still pretty high, but they are down. Orange juice up, pork bacon up, sandwich bread up. That's the problem, man. Everything is up. And Donald Trump, by the way, his fundraising, weirdly also up. He's apparently sitting on $300 million plus. And he hasn't really talked to his party about how he's gonna spend that money because he's probably not gonna spend that money, further imperiling their chances of maintaining control of at least one house of Congress. But it isn't just the money that he's holding back. He's actually way more hesitant about making endorsements, particularly in the most important races. And we'll end on this. You remember Steve Bannon was saying, the Ken Paxton, Cornyn primary, super important, and it is. Do you know which side Trump is on? Because if you do, please write into me, because I'd love to know, because he's not formally getting involved. And I think I know why. It's because he knows that he really doesn't control things anymore. And he's really gun shy about being on the wrong side of an endorsement. So where he should be throwing his weight around the most in the races that truly matter, he's the most hesitant. He's shriveled up. He doesn't really want to say anything. He doesn't want to be wrong. He doesn't want to look like a lame duck. So you know what he's acting like? A lame duck. He's acting like someone who has no power to actually use. And it might, in this case, actually hurt the Republicans. Because if he were to come out on the side of John Cornyn, electorally, that would probably help the Republicans. But he's terrified of endorsing Cornyn, and then Paxton goes on to win. So he's not doing it. We'll see, maybe he will in the end. But right now, he's looking quite shrunken indeed. With the cost of everything going up, here at TYT, we're always trying to help you guys out and save you some money. Your cell phone bill is the last place you should be getting ripped off. But if you're with Verizon or AT&T, chances are you're way overpaying for the plan you're on. That's why TYT is teaming up with Noble Mobile, the only cell phone plan that pays you to use your phone less. With their Noble plan, get unlimited data for only $50 a month. But the real game changer is the cash back you get for your unused data. The less data you use, the more cash back you get. It's a win-win. Stop letting big wireless rip you off. Choose a company that aligns with your values and isn't trying to milk you for every last cent. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT in our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan. If you enjoyed that, then make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming a member. So you're probably wondering, why would I do that? Well, when you do that, you get access to bonus content that I make every single week, and it's a lot of fun. You get custom emojis and more. If you join at tier 3, by the way, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself. And you'll get all that going forward, but you'll also unlock years of the back catalog. That is literally 100 or more bonus clips and top 10 lists and debates and more. So what are you waiting for?